Joe, I apologize, I called you down.
Oh, that's fine. Anyway, with me.
I like
You probably have
Portia
2 or 3.
spiders. No, I have not. I have not had any of them.
We're ready.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. All right, I would like to call the meeting to order for the Nisswa Planning Commission Board of Adjustment, Tuesday, January 5th, 2021 at 6 PM. Roll call, please.
Don Jacobson.
Gary Harris.
Josh Young.
Bob Fear.
Mark Allen.
Maggie Wentler.
Brittany Cotner.
Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Being none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Bob. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Next, to approve the meeting minutes for December 1st, 2020. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes?
We do need to change the motion on the Grandview Lodge PDD from a approval to a recommendation to city council.
Okay, anything else? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Second by Linda. Next item is an open forum. Is there anyone present that would like to speak towards anything not on the agenda this evening? Hearing none, I will move on to public hearings. I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearings.
So moved. Second.
Second by Bob. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, first item is a conditional use permit, application 012-20 to construct and operate a retail business. The subject property is located at PID 281-40662. Owner applicant Stout, Joe Hall. Joe, you want to come to the table? Brittany, your staff report.
Sorry, my screen closed here. I'm trying to plug. We do have a modification to the application. The modification was the entrance point off of Hazelwood. That parking area has been broken up and brought to the north and south side of the proposed buildings. And then this was also submitted by Mr. Hall to give us a visual of what that will look like. With the modifications that were presented, the staff from Public Works and myself both agreed that this was a optimal change since it got rid of a non-complying section of the plan, and then it also made it like equal about parking spots. We just broke it up and moved it so that it was not a huge change, but it was more in compliance with our city code. And then my recommendation is for approval.
Okay. If you would like to make a public comment regarding this project, please step towards the podium and state your name and address. Hearing none, I'll close public comments. Commissioner member comments. We can start with whoever wants to start, I guess, if you had.
I've got a couple of questions to start. Is this the extent of the plans that we have? That was the first question. Second one, that looking at this exhibit that was sent out with the green line through it, that's the extension of the road.
Yes,
At some point, I assume if that road's extended straight through the way it shows, and there's right of way that goes along with it, it looks to me like, you know, the road's gonna be really close to the building, but the right of way is gonna be in it, or possibly if this, you know, if this plan is anything near correct. Is that the way it's supposed to be, or?
yes, since we don't have a road in place or platted at this time, we can't hold the applicant to the adjusted setbacks and or lines. There was a request as well before we make any official motions to get feedback from Mr. Hallen to make sure that a road would still fit in that area. But pending that, we can't increase the setbacks for a future road.
So the future road extension probably will not be straight like this. It's gonna have a curve back over towards the highway and kind of wrap around the building to an S curve or something. Is that correct, Mark, or don't you?
Well, one of the things that Public Works will have to do right at the start here is to have discussions with MnDOT on that jog in their right of way back from 1919, when, Hazelwood was originally Trunk Highway 371, platted and everything. So we would have to have a conversation then, because, I'll just say in a perfect world, MnDOT would say, right, we're closing that off. Hazelwood's now going down to County 77. We no longer need that triangle, and we're, that jog, and we'll make a uniform right of way up, and and that would revert back to the city of Nisswa, so Hazelwood could come more, straight south like it does right now, and come, and make a gradual progression over, into the properties as it goes, and and that would allow then the final right of way, the final road location to be held further away from where this building, is currently proposed. But if it doesn't, per the city ordinance, they are allowing this 60-foot setback, so that if the city has to bring Hazelwood Drive through there in the future, they have a 60-foot corridor to do such.
On a straight vector without a jog?
No, it'll have to take it will have to take a jog. No, it will be a sharp S curve. So that's what I'm offering. That's what I say.
So it's a case of what comes first, the chicken or the egg. The building's gonna be there first, so the road's gonna have to fit some model at some point.
The building will
Right.
have to fit, it'll have to fit those conditions.
Okay.
And one would anticipate that, as the city goes forward with that, you're gonna have these discussions with MnDOT, and MnDOT has been invited to the next Public Works meeting. So, that's some discussions we'd like to start having right up front with MnDOT. Is there, I'm just gonna, Don, I don't know if you remember Edna Lake Road when we were talking about the hill. Well, you can get into some federal trust lands that are purchased with certain dollars, and nobody touches those, okay? So, that would be the only, I'll just say an example, if for something, and I'm gonna use the word ridiculous, is that would be existing there, that right-of-way jog, is there for a long, that cannot be changed, I'll just offer Gary, that is one example of how it could really then make the city have to work, within the, within your current 60-foot and 90-foot allowances that you have in your ordinance.
Do you know if there's an approximate timeline from MnDOT and when they're gonna do the road? Is it 5 years down the road or?
Well, I guess it's not MnDOT doing, MnDOT wouldn't be doing any road. If there's gonna be any work to Hazelwood Drive, it would be initiated by the city of Nisswa.
And do we have a timeline on that?
No,
Okay.
not that I'm aware of. So, the city's discussed it for many years, and, this project will probably be bringing forth the city to make some decisions on at least allowing for, a future corridor for any Hazelwood Drive extension.
So Hazelwood, was that turned back to the city when 371 was upgraded over here? So this isn't MnDOT property anymore. The city of Nisswa owns Hazelwood, correct?
Hazelwood, but there's about 180 feet off the highway that is still in MnDOT right away.
Right.
Yep,
Right.
so,
Okay,
but yes, from that point on, all the way it is all city of Nisswa.
okay.
Mr. Chair. Joe, on the application you signed in the signature of the property owner and for the ordinance to revive for the application here, you signed both. Are you the owner of the property? Fee owner?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you the fee owner of the property?
The fee owner?
Yeah, you own it.
Yeah, myself and Joel behind me. He's my partner in it.
Okay.
The two of us jointly own it together.
Well, the reason I asked, a couple of years ago, we had a person in here who wanted to develop a piece of property and said he was the owner, and we found out later he wasn't. So I always ask the question, do you own the property?
Oh, yeah, no, we own it.
Another question, on the survey, when I was out there the other day, looked at it, there's an electric transmission line going across the property. And I don't see it shown on the survey. And I'm just wondering if that's was deleted for some reason, or it's probably an MP, Minnesota Power Line. Do they have an easement for that that's not shown on here? Do you know?
Well, that's all in the MnDOT right away, so
Is it?
yeah, it's running down that ditch, where that snowmobile trail goes through on the ditch. And so that's all in the right of way there with MnDOT.
Well, I couldn't tell by looking at the survey. Normally, when you have a right of way and stuff like that for utilities, they note it, but I didn't find it anyplace.
Is it
I
on
have other
the,
questions, but go ahead.
is it on the south side of that property, Don? Like the southeast corner?
Yeah,
Because I do see that there is an easement listed. It doesn't go the full length north. Looks like probably 300 feet maybe.
And that easement is just an old easement between the Boberg family. It's really relevant to this whole thing.
Right.
Of the soccer, so, but, and Joe is correct. I mean, the power line that runs along 371 is within MnDOT right away.
Okay,
See,
So-
MnDOT has a very wide, let's say, why there's that jog there, Don, we don't know. They say the power company,
Okay.
conveniently use the, that's where they ran their power line, years or decades ago.
Did you have a follow-up?
no, not right now.
Mark, I got kind of a design question. They're showing this future Hazelwood extension that it lines up with whatever you want to call it, the angle of Hazelwood off of 371. It's a straight shot. I wouldn't want a road that came in, pointed at my building and did a jog at the last moment. Is it possible from a design standpoint that this angle could be pulled tighter to 371 and the jog would be made past it?
And the answer is yes. I mean, I guess, what you have in front of you, it was not intended to be, this is the location. It just, it was intended to show that, a future Hazelwood, Drive extension would head south to, County 77. But I mean, from the standpoint of, like I say, that's why the discussion between the city and MnDOT needs to take place on, is it, because that would make the most sense, because as far as just laying out the road extension, why do we want an S curve in it? Let's bring it straight where it's really coming in, and make a more gradual and change. And this is just one property of six different properties, between here and County 77.
Okay.
So there's gonna be a lot of discussion where, any future road extension would go to try to maximize properties that it would serve.
Okay. So it could be a double or triple S, who knows? It all depends upon the future development plans.
Yes.
Okay. I won't get bent out of shape about this, because I wouldn't want headlights coming into the windows or my building.
has MnDOT commented on the there's a 90-foot setback there from the MinDOT right-of-way line. 90-foot building setback shown, it shows on the survey, and that's gonna go through the building. Has MinDOT commented on that?
No, it doesn't go through the building.
Well, and one, that's, you know,
Looks like
that,
it
that
on mine.
90-foot setback is not nothing to do with MinDOT. That's the city of Nisswa and their ordinance. I think that's, I forget, page 32. You know, they have their chart, and there is allowances for along.
It's a city building, it's building setback there, though.
Well, it's not anything to do with the building setback. It's an allowance for future, frontage road.
Oh, okay, okay,
So, you know,
okay.
that was it. So where no
Okay.
frontage road currently exists, the chart is 90 feet all the way across for all zoning designations. And then where a frontage road currently exists, then, the chart drops down to 60 feet. And so that's the
Okay.
jog that, Stone Mark,
Right,
the surveyor put in there. They went from
Yeah.
90 to 60.
yeah, I see that, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Are final plans being made to reflect these changes, the handwritten ones that we've got? Will they be submitted before building permit, and
Yeah, they'll be required for a building permit.
city engineer will review those
Correct, yep.
changes in parking and?
Yep.
Okay.
So just so I'm clear, what you're wondering is that, will the survey reflect the parking on the sides? Is that what you're?
Well, no, that there's a site plan. When you come in for a building permit, you're gonna show exactly where the building is and where your future parking is gonna be. And, all we've got here is it did show it before, but now there's a handwritten change, so
Oh,
I
I
assume
guess
that's
I
all
don't
gonna
know
be
what that-
revised on here, so.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's. what
Yeah,
the
that's
question
fine.
is.
That's all I was asking. I don't want to issue a building permit based on these,
Right, yep.
so.
What plans you have for landscaping and whatever?
If you go back to the 3D, if we can pull that up.
Yep.
That's pretty,
The reason I asked is it's going to be highly visible from 371 there. And we've tried to have all of the structures that are built along 371 have what we call the up north look or feel and colors.
so it has stone across the front, and landscaping across the front, an entry coming in there, landscaped up both sides.
What about signage?
Right now, as far as signage, I am building the buildings, to lease. Close Converse is gonna lease them out. And so at that point, the signage would be of the applicant leasing the space.
Question for Brittany then. Obviously, we've got an application here for a brick stone operation. On any other use other than that, will those people have to come in also for a permit? Depending on what they're gonna do?
Yeah, anything that wouldn't be a retail use, they would require a new CUP.
All right.
Right, yeah, it's gonna be a retail showroom space is what it's gonna be used for.
Linda, did you have any questions?
No, I'm just sort of studying. I don't have any right now.
Okay.
So it really you could end up with brickyard, like pavers and that type of thing, I assume. Or it could end up golf carts or anything else that needed showroom space, and there's ample room to sell it, correct?
Yeah,
mean,
correct, yeah, and
there's-
there's loading docks in the back. It could be used for a multitude of businesses.
Okay. But at this point, who's gonna be in here, the type of business, we just don't know till it's leased, correct?
Correct, until the lease is finalized. yeah.
Okay. Mark, did you have any additional comments?
Well, I guess one that's, from what's handed out in front of you to what we see up on the screen does show 16 or 20 foot of bituminous all along the east side of this proposed facility, which would allow vehicles to move back and forth and pedestrians to walk. And I guess, so I just point out to everybody, that is not shown on the hand one, that we had. So I guess I'm anticipating that the revised layout that we get showing the park and everything is going to include what we see on the screen here in front of us tonight. you know, bituminous on the east side of the building.
Yeah, correct, yeah. I
Okay,
believe-
well, just so, I mean, that's what I see different from what's up here, compared to what, you know, what was handed out, so.
And I believe I'm allowed 40 feet on that side.
Yeah, that's fine, thank you, I just wanted to clarify it, so.
So that's not what's shown on, what's shown on here is the bituminous on the east side of the building is all, it's Xed out. There isn't any, and now there's gonna be. Is that
Well,
correct?
that's what I'm, that's the reason I'm asking the question.
Right,
We have
right
the
there.
So
visual
that's
here.
correct, and these are not correct.
That is an updated version, so I met with Public Works and Brittany and stuff yesterday, and I am wanting to work with the city of Nisswa on having Hazelwood run through there. And so this is from yesterday afternoon, this is what we came up with to compromise at this point until something further would be done with Hazelwood. And then at that time, you know, the parking lot entrance and exit would go on to Hazelwood rather than out the back.
Okay.
Mark, a question for you. With these changes, are the drainage or the stormwater basins and, are they in the right location now? Do those change? The stormwater basins?
Well, not, I mean, I'll say he's got significant land area available for his stormwater basins. So I mean, I wouldn't, I mean, there's gonna be no issues as far as, you know, creating a large enough stormwater, you know. to
Right,
handle that.
but what we have on here showing the locations, are those going to change?
Yes,
Okay?
yeah, because I mean, they're revising their parking lot, I mean,
And I did condition that Mark Hallen, as well as Public Works, would have to sign off on it before we were moved forward in that regard, because we knew that stormwater likely would have some changes coming.
Any other questions? Would you like to add anything, Joe?
No, I mean, I'm aware of, you know, I'm trying to work with the city, like you say, on that, and the stormwater and the final parking lot plan would be something that I would work on in the next week or so and turn into Brittany and Tom and whoever else wanted to see it, to sign off on it.
It seems like he's been working with the city and Mark with throughout this whole process, so I'm comfortable with that being a condition, so.
I agree, yes.
All right, are we ready for a motion? Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I think everybody's hesitant. To get back to this, there seems to be a rush to the well here on this thing. You know, we're asked to approve something that's not final. It's not complete. It's only January. And I'm trying to figure out what the hurry is. I mean, you're not gonna be grading this next month, are you? Or
We are. Yeah. And we want to get going with construction right away. That's why we're in here.
tree removals?
Yeah. So it's been a nice winter so far.
Well,
Do you have more questions with it?
no, still my biggest question is being asked to approve something it's so sketchy, you know, and half the information that we're even given on the revised one today is not according to that, so. But for
Well,
purposes
the
of
city
discussion.
has a history, if something comes up at the last minute, of tabling until you get the proper stuff done, or talk to the proper people, or get the changes, because what you file and goes into the city file is not a hand-drawn piece, it's
No,
completed.
that's why I asked before, as long as we're gonna get final drawings.
So that is a final rendering. Why can't this be updated then? This one has been hand drawn. Get this updated so that it's official.
Correct.
and submit that to us.
Yes.
Yeah, it can be done in the next thing. It just went from this to that on the basis of working with the city and having Hazelwood come through there. Yesterday, I met with Tom and Brittany and Jenny and everybody here, you know, and said, hey, this is a good compromise right now on it. And I do that in-house. I'm obviously not a surveyor, so that's why I couldn't immediately change that. But move the parking from the front to the side, that's, I mean, I don't know, maybe Mark can say that's a fairly simple detail to be fixed, but as far as like, I don't know, I would like approval to get going on the construction of the buildings and stuff. And before I start construction, obviously I could submit this new plan to Brittany and to everybody.
I can tell you just based on my own personal experience going through the boards and planning commissions, it's pretty routine to do something like this if everything else is kind of in line. For example, I mean, we had to do a wetland delineation and that got pushed back to spring because you can't do it because you can't see the vegetation. Same thing with some of our SWIP plannings. So it's pretty normal in that respect, not to have everything as long as it's a condition for Mark to sign off and everything. But it's up to you guys. I mean, if you don't feel comfortable with it, you can.
Whoever makes the motion, one way or another, if you're not quite sure, just in the motion, list all the things you're not sure about or make a contingent on A being done, B being done or moved. So at least it's on paper someplace.
Sure.
That would be the way to do it.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, would you or Linda like to make the motion?
go ahead.
I'll make a motion contingent on that this is updated then to a correct certificate of survey showing these hand-drawn things. Is that what we're saying? Is that what you're looking for, Gary?
Well, I guess
An updated survey that shows,
it shows the relocated parking areas north and south of the building rather than on the east. And I guess that's probably the main things that I'm concerned with because the road's not there, so we can't deal with it. So the road's just gonna have to fight the battle with the building when it comes, so that's, but that would be just conditioned on parking areas being moved to north and south of the
Right.
edge of the
So
building.
then it would be contingent on getting this, it would be approved contingent on getting an official certificate of survey with these changes made, these parking changes. Yes?
Yes. Second,
Would probably want some staff recommendations and findings of that.
yeah,
Do you want to add those?
on page 6.
yeah.
Well, and the other thing that needs to be revised too is the stormwater plan. Because that, to me, as an engineer, that's more of a concern.
Yes.
So, you know, whoever lays out the certificate showing the new parking, then they need to rerun the numbers and, you know, provide that also. And I say there's adequate room to do it, it just needs to be revised and updated.
You okay with amending your motion, Linda, to that?
Yes. What more do I need?
The motion needs to include the staff recommendations
So the motion would include staff recommendations.
And
and findings of fact.
Pardon me?
And findings of fact.
as presented.
As presented fact.
Yep.
Is there a second?
Second.
Gary second. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Bob opposes. Motion carries. Good luck on your project.
Super, thanks. Sure. Yep.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to close public hearings.
So moved.
So moved. Do I have a second? I'll second. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, new business, final plat application 016-20 to construct and operate a 27-unit common interest residential community with private roads. The subject property is PIN number 281-50598 and 281-50597, owner applicant ETOC.
This is in substantial compliance with the preliminary plat. To my knowledge, not much has changed. There have been some labeling differences as far as the outlots go. Please correct me if I'm wrong, though, Mark, I don't believe there's been any.
No change in
large-
size of lot, no change in length of street, no change in, there's just some labeling on some lots, but other than that, everything, there's no material difference in this. It's just a labeling they want to do it in multiple lots instead of all one lots with 27 one block. You got one block and 27 lots. Now there's 4 blocks. Still 27 lots. No change in size of any. And then the only thing is there was a tiny bit of impervious coverage added to accommodate some additional parking spots. But still we're way under any thresholds. There's nothing. And then there was some additional design work done.
There was a letter that you had written regarding the trail. Was there any update with that, or is that with the letter that he had wrote, Mark had wrote about the trail access and the grading?
When we toured it, I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember what happened with it. We've agreed to, when we set the final grade there on that we're going to pull the trail crossing that we are going to build for our two streets, that we will set the grade around it to accommodate the trail, and we'll have at least a 2-car stacking distance between the street, the Lower Red Lake Road, and the proposed trail crossing. There's no engineering that's been done for the trail crossing yet, so we have some recommendations, and we will be extremely flexible with it, but we can't locate those at this time because the trail engineering is not done. So however you want to say that, because it was raised to us that there was a concern about where the trail crosses our internal roads.
Yeah.
So we will make accommodations for it. We will set the grade on both sides to accommodate the trail. So there's nothing crazy about where that's being placed. But that's, other than that, that's because we went out there with the trail, with the Parks and Rec director for the city, and looked at and determined that was the only thing we do at this point in time.
A question for Brittany. Were you able to determine from the state whether the state needs the trail as an easement or in fee?
When I spoke to Amber, the Parks and Recs director, she had some documentation that referenced both ways. So it's my understanding that we can do either. During that conversation with her, though, she did inform me that they do have a quitclaim deed agreement with ETOC. So that does give us a little more security in that regard.
But we can't describe it until such time that the
Right.
engineering is done.
I guess for reference, if you just, Mark talked about, the stacking distance for 2, we would, Amber and I walked along there, we would anticipate that the easement line along there, or however it is, but, there would be somewhere between 50 and 60 feet off of the current Lower Lake right-of-way into that outlot, but, between, north and south, that will be needed for the trail then.
Right.
Because we're not gonna jog the trail out to the road and then jog it back. So just, if you're interested, I mean, like you say, that's the distances that we've been tied. It's not a 10 or 20-foot strip. It's a significant piece of, probably 50 to 60 feet wide that we would do all the way from the south end to the north end across this property, and then which to locate the trail within. Because where we'll be crossing there, because on the south side, they have a major culvert there going into their stormwater basin, and they have kept that to the east of where the current just gravel road or just trail goes in there, which was what, and that's what was asked. So there is, so we have sufficient room, to bring the trail across there in the future.
When we do get to a point for a motion, it was recommended by our city attorney that we make the recommendation to contingent upon a developer's agreement that will be put together prior to the city council meeting, but he just wanted us to include that language in there.
And that's standard, that's what we've always done with the developments.
Well, is there anybody in the public that would make a comment regarding the project? All right, hearing none, I'll close public comments. Did we have any other questions from the commissioner members?
There were a number of other conditions by other city public works and stuff like that. Are they satisfied, Tom, Public Works? Everything's satisfied and copacetic, huh?
I mean, we have the sewer and the sewer plan is complete, and approved, and the MPCA extension permit has been applied for. So, meaning it's the way it's gonna be because it's been applied for. So nothing will change.
Ideally, when do you think you'd like to start?
Well, we would start taking some trees down soon. We're gonna go slow, and hopefully if this month looks like the next 10, 15 days are pretty calm, we'll take some trees down. And there may be one home being started there in February.
Well, just to go back to my other question, we had a sheet here of staff recommendations, and they went through 9, more than that, quite a ways. There's 2 pages of recommendations. And that was my question to Tom. Are all these recommendations taken care of? You sure? This is dated January 5th.
Is there a specific condition that you're concerned about?
Well, I know, I just, it says staff recommends the final plat be approved. And it should be approved, but there were a lot of things to be completed. You're going to attach that list to be completed, right?
Correct. Yep,
Okay.
that's why it's in the, yeah.
I didn't want to lose these conditions, okay?
No, yep.
And I'll offer down there, like, condition number, 20 is the easement for the cart trail between lots 8 and 9 is to be legally filed, okay? But surveyors just do this to make us all mad, because it's actually 5 blocks. Yeah, so it's now gonna read between lot 1 of block 5 and lot 5 of block 4. So I mean, so just so you know, I mean, and like condition 30 is that, big one, prior to land use permit, the trail dedicated land easement must be legally filed. So I mean, we're gonna have to come up with that width. And, so there's a substantial to-do list here, which you're concerned, but like I say,
The 31 conditions will be attached to the approval and they will be taken care of. That was my concern.
Okay, any additional comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll recommend approval of final plat application approval to the city council. Final plat application 016-20. According to the findings of fact and the staff recommendations as published on January 5th, 2020.
Contingent on the developer's agreement.
Yes, contingent to the acceptance of a developer's agreement between the city and the developer.
Do I have a second? Second by Linda. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Get her built.
Has the price point gone up? Has the price point gone up again?
Maybe. Actually, no, but they are selling brisk, they're reserving briskly.
Right. Good.
Marco, like I said, 29th is traffic counts are to be submitted to Crow Wing County Engineering Department for comments on the CASA 77 intersection. So I'll just offer Grandview, we actually, 2 summers ago when they were looking at it, we set up video cameras at Nokomis, 6 areas. So I'll just offer that data does exist already with SPAC. So I want to just clarify that. I don't know who put 29 in, but
It's been accomplished already. We paid for the spec.
well, I understand, but I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page, that this isn't a 2020 traffic count. Because what you have is perfectly usable. So just everybody's understanding, I don't get questioned, well, why are you using 2-year-old data? Well, no, we're using the last traffic count information. So, thank you, I just wanted to,
Thank you for clarifying.
yep.
And all along, our engineers have been working with Mark to make sure that everything is upset, so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I
See you, Mike. Happy New Year.
hope so.
All right, old business being none, we'll move on to the planning and zoning administrators report.
So as expected, we've slowed down a little bit with construction. We still had a pretty active month for December, I think. We had 5 new permits. 4 of them were additions or modifications to some degree. Only 1 was a new dwelling. But we did have record numbers for dwelling construction this year. We outbeat the last 7 years for sure in new residential dwelling construction. So I thought that was definitely something to kind of be proud of. People want to be here. It's always important.
Yeah.
And then we did have 1 new violation, which you have in your packet. They have submitted an after-the-fact conditional use permit, and I'm working with them to get through that process. So I do expect that to be resolved soon.
Is the Boberg one, you mean?
Correct, yep.
What's the resolution on that?
They applied for a conditional use permit for an accessory use for the general public,
Okay.
since it won't be the primary use, is my understanding.
There's no penalty fees or fines involved in this?
There is. It'll be a 6 times the after-the-fact fee. I believe that they will probably appeal to council for reimbursement on that, just with the very limited interaction or conversations that we've had, but I don't know for sure at this time.
I don't think they're very happy about that.
Yeah, I can understand.
I'll guarantee you they're not happy.
Yeah,
What kind of monies are we talking about?
$1,846.
Times 6, or is that?
That's the total amount.
No, because this kind of dates back to, I had some discussion with them
Yeah,
off the record about it, but dates back a couple of years before your tenure here.
yep,
And they say that they came in and they were given permission to do this auto rental over there and with the sign and everything. And I'm not surprised to hear that, because we had other instances where your predecessor was
right.
playing a little bit of loose,
One
and
thing
then-
I will say on that too, though, is we are legally not allowed to review your message on the sign permit that you submit. We can't make comments. We can't regulate it in any way, shape, or form. We can only look at the size, the height, the shape, where you're placing it. So approval of a sign is not approval of a use.
Okay, so this is really a sign problem.
No, they are saying they have a permit for a sign, which technically they do. I have been told the sign does exist,
So
but
2 years ago, it wasn't even given permission for that use.
correct,
Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
They were here for a sign.
correct. Yep. And I think
Okay.
that's where the
So they
confusion
usurped
began. Yep, for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice to know the other side of that.
Absolutely. Any questions, concerns, comments?
No.
Overall or just about the
Well,
administrative?
No, we're here, why not, right?
Error of grievances. I have a question. So, do you know what the term is for the chair? Is there a specific time where I'm done and do you know when that is?
We'll vote on that at the next meeting. when
Next
we-
meeting. I thought it was around this time, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I always get it confused thinking it's January, but it's always.
February is actually the first kind of official meeting, isn't it?
Why,
Yep.
you want out?
No, I just wanted to know because I know
Want to be
I'm,
evaluated?
You've done an
Well,
you've done an
know.
excellent job for the record, by the way.
all right.
Takes a majority for you to lead, you know.
So you're going to be looking at getting 2 new voting members? for
Yep.
the- for the, planning zone.
Yes, the city council has voted or is voting. I don't know the exact placement or where we are with that at this moment, but for the liaisons to not being voting members anymore. So Mr. Jacobson won't be voting anymore, so we'll fill his position, but he'll still be here and absolutely free to make comments, voice concerns, things like that.
Give advice.
And you're on the record for coming back on, correct?
Absolutely, months ago.
I'm assisting Brittany with some interviews. If you would like to submit some questions,
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
it would be, if you had some,
Do you have candidates?
We have 2 at this time, including Mr. Fear.
You're gonna interview Mr. Fear also then?
maybe.
Oh yeah, we're gonna run him through the ringer.
You make your decision.
Okay. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, just to keep the record the same.
I will second. Oh, Linda will second. Never mind. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.